Let's talk about something frustratingly common, but rarely called out. You meet a guy, there's chemistry, a connection, maybe even some history. But there's just one problem: he's with someone else now. And yet, he still texts you, he still flirts, he still says things like, "I miss us." Or, "If things were different." You're left wondering, why is he still coming back to me when he's already with her? If you've ever found yourself stuck in that confusing gray area, feeling like a backup plan, a secret escape, or a what if fantasy, this one's for you. Let's break down exactly why he's doing it, what it means, and how to protect your heart without playing into his games. When someone is in a relationship but still showing interest in you, it can feel incredibly flattering at first. It's easy to interpret his attention as a sign that there's something special between you, something real that even his current relationship can't compete with. But here's the truth that often hides underneath the surface: he's coming to you because you're giving him something he's missing. And while that might sound romantic, it's rarely the full story. And it's almost never a healthy one. People don't stray emotionally or physically when everything is going well in their relationship. If a man is with someone but still chasing a connection with you, that's a loud clue that something in his relationship isn't fulfilling him. Maybe he doesn't feel understood. Maybe he misses the passion. Maybe she doesn't give him the admiration or excitement he once felt. But here's what you need to ask yourself: is that your problem to fix? Because often, when you're the one he's confiding in, flirting with, or emotionally leaning on, it can start to feel like you're the missing piece of his puzzle, like you're what he really wants. But for some reason, life or timing got in the way. It's seductive, this idea that you're the one who gets him, that you're special enough to pull his attention even when he's supposed to be committed to someone else. But that idea, while tempting, is usually built on sand. Just because someone is lacking something in their current relationship doesn't mean they're ready or willing to do the work to leave it. Instead, they look for shortcuts to feel good again. And often, you become the shortcut. You represent warmth, understanding, connection, and maybe even excitement. You might remind him of who he used to be, of what life felt like before it got complicated. You're not the woman he's arguing with, coordinating schedules with, or dealing with day-to-day stress alongside. You're the escape, and that makes it easy for him to idealize what he feels with you, even if he's not ready to make any real decisions. Now, it's important to be honest with yourself. Are you giving because you care, or because you're hoping he'll wake up one day, realize what he has in you, and choose you? Because that kind of hope can become a trap. You pour emotional energy into someone who's not actually available, and you get just enough crumbs, just enough attention to keep believing that maybe one day he'll leave her for you. But here's the hard truth there. If he were truly serious about you, you wouldn't have to be a side story. He would make space for you in his life, not just in his texts at midnight or in the quiet moments when he's feeling disconnected from his partner. You wouldn't be the secret, or the fantasy, or the fallback. You'd be the relationship. So yes, he's with her, but he still wants you. Because you offer him emotional relief without the responsibility. Because you listen without demanding change. Because you give without asking him to choose. But the longer you play that role, the easier it becomes for him to take your presence for granted. And the harder it becomes for you to walk away. You are not his emotional band-aid. You are not the missing puzzle piece that will fix his confusion. And you are definitely not here to be the person who fills the gaps in someone else's relationship while they stay comfortably where they are. There's something incredibly addictive about the thrill of being wanted, especially by someone who already has someone else. It can feel like validation, like proof that there's something undeniable between you two. But often, what you're experiencing isn't love or deep connection. It's a man chasing the excitement of having you without the burden of being with you. He wants the thrill without the responsibility. And if you're not careful, You'll end up stuck in a cycle where you keep giving and he keeps taking without ever giving you the commitment you truly deserve. When someone is in a relationship but still reaching out to you, flirting, texting, calling, making emotionally charged statements like, "I miss you," or "I still think about us," what he's really doing is keeping the emotional high alive. It's exciting for him. He gets to feel the buzz of attention, of desire, of possibilities, all without having to actually do anything different in his real life. You become his emotional playground, a place he can go to escape the monotony or difficulty of his actual relationship. This kind of behavior is often confused with passion. It feels intense, it feels raw, and it can convince you that he must have genuine feelings, because why else would he keep coming back to you? But here's the uncomfortable truthing. It's entirely possible for someone to be drawn to you for selfish reasons. Not because they want to build something real with you, but because they want to feel something with you. There's a big difference. He gets to flirt with you. He gets to feel attractive, desired, and emotionally seen. He gets the thrill of connection without having to be accountable. He doesn't have to plan for the future with you. He doesn't have to argue about bills, or take care of you when you're sick, or show up for you when it matters. He doesn't have to sacrifice anything. And that's exactly what makes this dynamic so dangerous. You're doing all the emotional heavy lifting, while he's taking the benefits of connection and intimacy, and offering nothing of substance in return. This is not love. This is not investment. This is someone indulging in their own ego and emotional gratification. You're not being pursued as a life partner. You're being used as a spark to reignite excitement in his otherwise routine or unfulfilling relationship. And he will keep coming back for that hit of adrenaline as long as you allow it, because it costs him nothing and gives him everything. You might be thinking, but he tells me he's confused. He says he doesn't know what to do. He says he's stuck. That might be true, but being confused isn't a reason to involve another person emotionally. If he really respected your feelings, he wouldn't be dragging you into his uncertainty. He would either figure out his current relationship or leave it before involving someone new. But instead, he's holding on to both, because one gives him comfort and the other gives him thrill. If a man truly wants you, he will step up, not flirt in the shadows, not send late-night texts, not drop breadcrumbs of attention. He will show up fully and clearly, without needing to keep someone else on the side. Because the truth is, love without responsibility is just fantasy. And while he may enjoy the fantasy of you, you are the one left living with the reality of being second. So don't mistake emotional excitement for emotional investment. Just because he wants you doesn't mean he's ready for you, until he is willing to take responsibility for what it means to be with you, publicly, fully, and without conditions. Then all he's chasing is the thrill, and you deserve more than that. When a man is with someone else but still shows interest in you, it's often not about love, longing, or even genuine connection. More often than not, you represent a fantasy. You become the what if, the alternative version of his life that he can play out in his mind without ever having to take the real steps to make it happen. And the thing about fantasies is that they're always easier, always more exciting, and always more perfect. Because they're not real. They don't come with arguments, responsibilities, or consequences. This isn't about you not being enough. In fact, the opposite is often true. You may be smart, magnetic, emotionally present, and deeply intuitive. And that's exactly why he's drawn to you. But the danger lies in confusing that attraction with commitment. What he feels toward you is heightened by the fact that you're not in his day-to-day life. You're not the one he wakes up next to when he's stressed about work. You're not the one he's navigating bills, routines, or conflicts with. Because of that, you stay idealized. In his mind, you're perfect because reality hasn't touched you. It's human nature to romanticize the road not taken. When someone is unsatisfied or uncertain in their current relationship, they start to imagine how things might have turned out differently with someone else. You become the symbol of freedom, of happiness, of the version of themselves they used to be. But none of that has anything to do with what a relationship with you would actually be like. It's not based on truth. It's based on projection. And here's the trap: because you feel the connection too, and because you're probably getting just enough attention to keep you emotionally hooked, you may start to believe that this fantasy has the potential to become real. He tells you he thinks about you, that he wonders what life would be like if he'd chosen differently. He reminisces about your past or shares moments that make it seem like you're the one that got away. And you start to believe that maybe, just maybe, he's on the edge of leaving her and choosing you. But here's the harsh reality: most of the time, he won't, because that would mean turning the fantasy into something real, and real life isn't perfect. Real relationships take work, sacrifice, and vulnerability. Once he steps out of the fantasy and into reality, the idealized version of you would eventually collide with the truth of any real relationship. Disagreements, hard choices, bad days, and all. And he's not chasing that. He's chasing the feeling you give him, not the responsibility of building a life with you. You have to ask yourself, does he love you, or does he love the idea of you? Because if he hasn't left his current relationship, if he's still keeping you in the shadows, and if all of this lives in conversations and stolen moments instead of action and commitment, then he's holding on to a version of you that serves his needs, not yours. Being someone's what if might feel romantic, even cinematic, but in the real world, it's emotionally exhausting. You deserve to be someone's reality, not their escape. You deserve someone who chooses you with both feet in, not someone who visits you in their imagination, but goes home to someone else. So the next time he reaches out with emotional confessions and vague longing, ask yourself, is he building a future with you, or just using you to rewrite his past? Because no matter how intense the connection feels, if he's not choosing you fully, then he's not really choosing you at all. When a man is in a relationship, but still finds ways to keep you emotionally engaged, whether through late-night texts, suggestive comments, or random check-ins, it often has less to do with genuine love and far more to do with his ego. This is a hard pill to swallow, especially when it feels like there's real chemistry, real history, and a real connection between you. But more often than not, he's not coming to you because he's thinking about your heart. He's thinking about his. There's a particular kind of emotional power that comes from knowing someone still wants you. It validates people. It makes them feel desirable, admired, and important. And for someone who may be feeling disconnected, underappreciated, or stuck in their current relationship, that validation can be like a drug. If he can get that feeling from you, without having to end his relationship or take any emotional risks, then why wouldn't he keep coming back? This kind of behavior isn't always conscious or malicious. He might genuinely think he's being harmless. He might believe that checking in on you, staying friendly, or reminiscing about old times is no big deal. But if his intentions are selfish, and they often are, the impact on you is still damaging. Because while he's feeding his ego, you're left sorting through your emotions, trying to figure out if this attention means something deeper. You're wondering, does he still care about me? Or is he regretting his current relationship? Meanwhile, he's just making sure you're still an option. This is what people do when they want to keep a door open. He may not be walking through it, but he sure doesn't want it to close. Keeping you around emotionally, digitally, conversationally, makes him feel good about himself. He knows that if things go wrong in his current relationship, you're there. You become his safety net, his backup emotional source, and sometimes even his silent admirer. That attention fills him up, but it doesn't move you forward. And the hardest part is that he may say things that feel honest. He may tell you how amazing you are. He may confess that he still thinks about you. He may even admit that there's a part of him that still loves you. But saying those things and acting on them in a meaningful, respectful, committed way are two very different things. Words without action are not love. They're manipulation wrapped in sentiment. You need to ask yourself this: if he truly cared about you as much as he claims, would he be comfortable keeping you in the background while being with someone else? Would a man who genuinely respects your heart allow you to be the one holding hope while he lives his day-to-day life with another woman? Someone who values you doesn't dangle you. He doesn't come around just to be reminded that he's still wanted. He shows up, clearly and consistently, because he doesn't want to risk losing you. If he's only showing up enough to keep your attention, but not enough to give you commitment, that's not love, that's ego maintenance. You are not a mirror for someone else's self-worth. You're not here to make someone feel better about themselves while they give nothing in return. Your presence, your attention, your care, it all has value, and it deserves to be received by someone who actually wants to invest in you, not someone who just wants to know you're still there. So, the next time he pops up with that, "I was just thinking about you" message, ask yourself, is he giving you love or is he taking validation? One builds you up, the other drains you slowly until you're left wondering why you always feel second best to someone who never fully showed up. When a man is with someone else but continues to keep a connection with you, through messages, emotional conversations, or flirtation, there's one crucial thing: you have to look at his actions. Because no matter what he says, if he truly respected you, he wouldn't be keeping you in limbo. He would make a clear choice. It's easy to get caught up in the story he tells. He says he's confused, that his current relationship isn't what it used to be, that he thinks about you constantly. He might open up about how things aren't working between him and his partner, hinting at an eventual breakup. He might talk about your connection, or how you understand him like no one else. And in those moments, it feels real, like something is building between you. But here's the reality: if he truly valued your heart, your time, and your energy, he wouldn't leave you hanging. He would take a stand. Men don't keep women they care about stuck in the gray area, the in-between, the maybe, that space where you're not together, but you're not entirely apart either. That space is not love, it's indecision. And indecision is a decision in disguise. When someone keeps you on the hook without giving you clarity, they're choosing their comfort over your dignity. It's not that he doesn't know how he feels. It's that he doesn't want to deal with the discomfort of making a tough call. Ending a relationship takes courage. Starting something new with honesty and commitment takes even more. But instead of doing either, he chooses the easier path, keeping you close enough to not lose you, but far enough away to keep his current life intact. You're not asking for too much by wanting clarity. Wanting to be chosen openly isn't a burden. It's the bare minimum. You deserve someone who isn't torn, who isn't balancing two emotional lives. Someone who makes a decision and follows through with action, not just words. Because when a man respects you, he shows it by stepping up, not by stringing you along while he figures himself out. The man who truly values you doesn't risk losing you to wait and see. He doesn't check in with you emotionally while still being physically and publicly committed to someone else. He doesn't ask you to stay patient while he continues living a double life. He makes space for you in his world because he knows that keeping you in the shadows dishonors what you bring to the table. And let's be honest, there's nothing more painful than feeling like someone's almost choice, like they want you, but not enough to choose you. Not enough to walk away from what's safe. That kind of emotional limbo can eat away at your self-worth. You begin to second-guess your instincts, your standards, even your value. But you weren't meant to be an almost. You weren't meant to be someone's escape from their unhappy relationship. You weren't meant to wait for someone to figure out what you've already made clear. You're ready, you're open, and you deserve something real. So if he's still sitting on the fence, if he's still using words instead of actions, it's time to stop hoping he'll wake up and start realizing that you've already outgrown this dynamic. Because love doesn't live in uncertainty. Respect doesn't live in secrecy. And you don't belong in the gray area. You belong in the kind of love that chooses you clearly, boldly, and without hesitation. When you're dealing with someone who's in a relationship, but still keeps you emotionally tethered, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you just need to wait a little longer. That maybe he'll finally see what you bring to the table and decide to leave the other person for you. But here's what you need to understand at your core: you are not a backup plan. You are not someone's safety net, emotional crutch, or second choice. You are the prize. The more you start to internalize that truth, the less willing you'll be to entertain anyone who treats you like a maybe. Because let's be clear, if someone is with someone else but still wants to keep you close, they're not choosing you. They're choosing comfort, familiarity, attention, or control. But they're not choosing you in the way that you deserve to be chosen. Being the prize means understanding your value even when someone else refuses to recognize it. It means refusing to settle for scraps of affection or fleeting moments of attention. It means walking away from situations that feel almost right but leave you feeling empty. It's not about arrogance or entitlement. It's about self-respect. When a man really sees you as the woman he wants a future with, he doesn't keep you waiting in the shadows. He doesn't check in sporadically, make emotional confessions late at night, or treat you like a secret. He steps up. He makes bold, difficult choices. He risks discomfort because losing you is not something he's willing to gamble with. But when someone is stringing you along, you have to stop and ask yourself, what am I really holding on to? Is it the man himself, or the potential of who I think he could be? Because often, we fall in love with the fantasy of someone, the version of them that finally gets their act together, leaves their partner, and gives us the love we know we deserve. But if that version only exists in your imagination, it's not love. It's a hope that's costing you time, energy, and emotional peace. There's a deep kind of self-worth that comes from saying no to half love, from recognizing when you're being undervalued, and choosing to walk away not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself too much to stay in that kind of dynamic. That's strength, that's power, that's you stepping into your role as the prize. And here's the truth: the longer you allow someone to treat you like a plan B, the harder it becomes to believe that you're worthy of being someone's plan A. That's why you have to set the standard. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you let someone emotionally lean on you while committing to someone else, you're silently agreeing to play the role they've assigned you, even if it breaks your heart in the process. But when you finally draw that line, when you stop responding to the late night messages, stop giving your emotional energy to someone who hasn't earned it, and stop showing up for someone who won't show up for you, that's when things start to shift. That's when you create space for someone who sees you clearly, someone who isn't torn, someone who wants you, chooses you, and is ready for the real thing. You don't need to prove your worth to someone who's too afraid to leave their comfort zone. You just need to remember who you are. You are not an option. You are not a maybe. You are not someone's emotional in-between. You are the prize, and it's time to start acting like it. So if you've found yourself wrapped up in the emotional chaos of a man who's with someone else but still wants you, remember this: real love doesn't hide behind confusion. It doesn't send mixed signals. It doesn't need to borrow your time while figuring itself out. Real love shows up. It chooses you fully, openly, and without hesitation. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question where you stand, someone who isn't holding on to you just to feel better about themselves, someone who doesn't keep you in the gray area while building a life with someone else. And if he can't be that person, if he's still stuck in between what he has and what he might want, then it's not your job to wait for him to grow up. It's your job to step back, protect your heart, and make room for the love that doesn't come with conditions. Because you were never meant to be the backup plan. You are the plan. You are the standard. You are the prize.